Hello everyone, we are back to do scrapbooking some more of my Southeast Asia adventures. I have been working with this gorgeous scrapbooking workshop kit from Stampin Up. It's called the Everyday You and Me collection. It does in the collection come with 3 double page layout ideas with all the cutting guides and everything you need to create with them. I have chosen to use this for inspiration and then do things a little bit my own way. So as you can see, my very first layout double page that I did with this kit, I went for the softer tones and I have pulled in some of those, just a little hints of the florals through some of the dies that are in the set. And I have been inspired with this one through, I'll just get these out of the way, through this first double page sketch idea. So what I did with this is I have taken the 3 rows across of photos, I've just joined them a little bit together, I've used that big solid banner along the bottom and allowed myself to fill in another photo in here. I have just printed my journaling onto some copy paper, which I'll probably transfer onto just solid cardstock. I think it looks good with the white, so I might just switch that to solid cardstock. This side, again, I took inspiration from the 3 horizontal photos, but I put them together so that I could incorporate a couple more photos on the page as well. And I have also gone with that framing, which I have done with the cream coloured cardstock as opposed to the darker cardstock here. So that was the first layout that I was inspired to create. The second one is again in Cambodia, but this time I have used it for the temples. So we visited a whole lot of different temples in the Angkor Wat area, and this one I went to the Bayon temple, which is one of lots of different faces inbuilt into the temples. You might just see there's a face at the top there. And then on this side I have got the Ta Prohm temple, which is the one where the Tomb Raider movie was filmed, which is a very iconic temple, religious temple, and it's got all of these trees with the roots growing around the ruins, which is pretty neat. So I loved visiting all of these on the same day as we visited Angkor Wat. I have used the vine from some of that patterned paper to make it sort of stand out and feel like we're in amongst the bush and trees, and because it's like a big national park where all of these ruins are. And I've pulled in that darker background for a little bit of framing and then did a little bit of tearing. Now I have also pulled in something that's not in the set, and that's this white specialty paper. It's kind of a vellum, and I've pulled that in just to give a little bit of that gold effect, sorry it was gold vellum, behind some of these bits and pieces and along the torn edges, which just helps to bring that little bit of luxury to the feel of these very traditional and iconic places. So I am going to print these out in vellum so you can see the pattern coming through from that sticker, and then I will adhere my journaling after that. So I have done 2 double pages already. I'm up to my 3rd, and I'm looking today to work with some of the remains of that workshop kit that I've still got, and I am going to be doing the actual Angkor Wat temple. So in the morning we visited this and spent quite a long time wandering around some of these beautiful, beautiful old relics. There's a whole heap of photos here. So I have printed these ones as 6x4s but with a border. But these ones I printed as 6x4s, but I've trimmed them down to 4 3/4 by 4. I really wanted to do squares, but I couldn't quite take out all of the photos. So I've done this size so that I can get the 4 full-sized photos virtually onto a page without it being too crammed. So that's all ready to go, and this is what we're going to work with. So let's have a little look where we head with that. So I'm going to start with the pretty peacock cardstock, 2-tone cardstock here, and I'm also going to be looking at the Lost Lagoon cardstock because these 2 colours are really lovely backgrounds, very neutral. So I do know that the back side of the following page is this light peacock, which I may actually scrapbook onto the back of that. I have got my Lost Lagoon over here, and I'm thinking I might be able to cut some of this out and take the inside away and just do the double up over here of colour, potentially actually keeping it to that back side so it's a lighter shade, and that way I can pull in a little bit of that colour and bring that over here. I'm going to be using these photos that are all vertical in a straight line. So these might go somewhere down the bottom here, a nice straight line, and that key one is going to become my focal point up here somehow. Now the reason I cut these ones down a little is so that I could do some form of manipulation here where I can get all of these photos on the page, still with some colour in the backdrop. So I'm really liking that. Now I did have a scrap of this specialty piece that came in the workshop kit, so that's going to possibly be a good option for framing behind these. Just to lighten that up, I might just do a little bit of a border around, cut that out so that we've got that nice little mat going on. So that'll be a nice spot starting point there. And I've also got this square left over. Now I'm not sure if this is going to work for me, but I do love this paper. But I'm wondering whether I could pull this in a little bit behind to get a bit of that colour coming through over here. So there's a little starting point. I'm going to go away and cut out the centre of this piece so that I've got that to play with as well, and then we can start to really line up the photos and get an idea of how this is all going to come together. So here we've got those pieces cut out. You can see the background of that's been cut. I actually did it at 3/4 of an inch, so it's not giving me much overlap room here. But it gave me as much as possible for this side over here, which I have now double matted. So I've got my photos laid out, but I do want to bring in a little bit more patterned paper. So I have actually pre-printed some of the journaling, so I can see that that could fit nicely in there. And I have got a strip left of this lovely paper that I've used on this side. So I'm wondering whether I pop this up the top here, just to give a little bit of an overlay between the two. And I also quite like this one here and this one here. And these are all just scraps that I've got. And I'm thinking I could have this one a little bit off at this end and this one a little bit off at this end. And that just gives a little bit of interest to what's going on up the top. That's just providing us with maybe even a banner for putting our title, because I'm going to have to put an anchor what, which I could definitely cut out of this darker paper. And I'm just thinking that's bringing in a few of the patterns across the page, but now I want to see a little bit more of that come through. And I do actually have one sheet left of it, which is really cool. So I could somehow look at pulling this one in as a bit of a border as well. Or I could pull the whole lot down to the bottom corner and just have two sides of it showing, which is another idea, but I do feel this is quite symmetrical, so I'm thinking I do really want to keep this in the center. So if that's the case, I'm just going to cut off about 1/4 of an inch off two sides. That's just going to give us a nice little bit of a border, and it's going to allow all those patterns to play together. So let's just get that done and I'll come back to you. Right, so I've stuck everything down now, making sure that I've cut out all the pieces behind to save the paper and so I can reuse it elsewhere. And I'm just having a little look at the layout before putting photos on, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a little bit of an adjustment. I did discover this little piece that I haven't yet used that is designed to be as part of the workshop kit. And I'm thinking that that would be quite nice framed inside this area, but I'm not so keen on this being side and side like that. So I'm going to twist this back to my original thought of having my pattern paper down the side and having this coming out. Now that softens this page a little bit more and marrying with the softer, whiter and lighter colours on this side, so I think that's going to work well for us. Now that being the case, this piece now doesn't work so well down the bottom here, so I'm going to place this one over this side just to see what we can do with that. And then I've still got my main key photo here, and I need to somehow fit that in with the journaling, so we need to just sort of somehow smooch that one in, so that will still work there. But now I need to split up those 4 photos that I had before on this side. So I've just taken a couple of them, pulled these 2 over this side, and I've pulled these 2 over this side. So now it's a bit more of a balanced layout without too many odd shapes going on. Because this has got darker colour on this side, I do want to pull in some darkness. Now this was a piece that is in the punch out bits of the workshop kit, and I'm thinking I might just cut it so that it sits through here. So I'll have a piece coming all the way down to the base, but I will cut out the center bit and have that bit up here as well, so it's like a big long strip with just that color coming through, which does help again to bring in and balance both sides of the pages. So now I get to have the fun part of doing the embellishing. In the kit, we still had some of these pieces left over, so I did have some large flowers. I could be considering doing sort of like a few little clustery pieces, a bit like this, which would work. I have got that half sort of semicircle, which could be part of one of the clusters. And I have also got a few left of these little die cut punch out pieces that's very light chipboard. So I could pull in, I guess, a little bit of, you know, these sort of leaves coming through into the mix somehow. And you can sort of see it would work. It's starting to take shape, and I do have actually a few of the more open pieces too, so I could pull in a few of those. And I do also have some open flowers, so I could even overlap with a few flowers and just make the clusters out of the workshop kit. However, I have gone to my stash because I did remember I had this lovely Changing Leaves hybrid embossing folder. Now this one allows us to cut and emboss at the same time. So you pop in your little piece of 6x6, you match these pieces up to the pattern above. I've actually got this upside down, so let's just do it the right way. Match these to the pieces up above, which are the right shape. Pop this on top, close this up, and then run that through the embossing folder. So when you do that, you get your embossed piece, but it cuts out some bits for you. So you can see there's actually still embossed pieces around the edge that I could still use, but it's also cut out these 3 pieces that are textured now with embossing, which is really cool. And that color, which I've actually used the grey granite, I think it's called, works with this this paper really well. So I could replace some of those smaller leaves with some bigger leaves in keeping with the size of the flowers, or I could do a little bit more just leaf based artwork here rather than bringing in these flowers. I'm a little bit unsure about the shape of these flowers with the shape of the flower that's in the pattern itself, so I'm just not absolutely sure I want to use those flowers. So let's just pull those out. I do like the graduating blue from the white into the darker blue. I do like that effect, so I might do something with that. But maybe we can just pull in these little leaves, do something with these textured leaves, and then I've also gone to my stash and looked at what other flowers I have. Now I do have the daisies. This is called Cheerful Daisies. I've just got the dies. I never got the stamp set because the dies themselves are actually quite cool. So I've got some textured up like variety bunches that I could pop into here, and I quite like the flowers being white, so that works really well. So we could just pop a few of these in here. Let's just pop this one up here and a couple of these down here. I'm not sure, you're just getting the idea of the colouring. That could work quite well. I also looked into this set here. This is an oldie set called Irresistible Blooms. It's got some beautiful little sort of rosy flowers, which looks a bit similar to the style that's in the paper. So I have cut a few of those out, stamped and cut a few of those out. That one's from the patterned paper, so that could work quite nicely in there as well. I'm not sure yet. I have got some lighter ones too, so I've got a little variety that I could work with. And then I also went to the Country Flowers set, and they've got these cute little dies that cut out little leaves. So, you know, sometimes it's good to have large leaves and little leaves in your mix, so it might be that I can do a little bit of a mixture between the two of those to add to the clusters and just make them look a little bit more in keeping with the patterned paper behind it. So it's just a little idea I'm going to play with, and I'll go away and have a little muck around with these. I don't think I cut out anything else at this point. Oh, I did cut out some smaller leaves too from that same Changing Leaves die set. There are some smaller ones as well, so I could be pulling in some of these more openy ones, which look quite nice as well. So let me just go have a little play around with those, and we will finish off this layout. So here we have it. Here's the final look. I have popped on a title on the side, Anchor What. I have clustered up my little embellishment pieces here and there all the way around. This here still needs to be printed out on some vellum, and you can see I've stretched out that piece to make that nice long strip of dark on that side to match the left. So the last thing I'm going to do is pop in some of these rather gorgeous adhesive backed heart sequins. It's a nice touch of gold and elegance. So I'm just going to place these around the clusters. Typically I do 2 or 3 at a time, usually probably 3. So I'll just take a larger and a smaller there, and then I'll probably pop something over here. I would normally come down this way, but I'm thinking just with how the photos are, I'm going to pop, oh, that one didn't want to stick with me. We'll put you around this side here. Pop this one on here. And that's giving us a couple on that little region, and then I'm going to pop a few down here and a few up there. I do love these little gorgeous hearts. They do add a touch of sparkle, and they're very flat, which is always nice with our scrapbooking. I might just put in another little one down here actually. I'll turn them around the right way. I had them in the wrong way. And then we've got, pop them back on. There we go. And one last one. We're going to grab a little one down here. Oh, I missed it. Let's just try again. There he is. And we'll go for a couple over this way as well. So that there is this rather lovely little layout, again inspired by the workshop kit with all of the bits and pieces that are included in it. But you can see here it has just come together in a way that suits my photos and managed to fit quite a few photos on and to tell the story, which is pretty awesome. So there you go, that's how you can convert a beautiful scrapbooking workshop to work it for your own photos. So here are my 3 different double page layouts got from the Everyday You and Me Scrapbooking workshop. Thanks for watching.